What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome back to the Draft League Viabilities. Now, before we get into today's video, I just want to take a second, and I know that a lot of people want to see a lot of different Pokemon. I realize this, and I'm glad that my opinion is so well liked and ready to hear. However, there is a very long list that people have asked me for, so realistically, I'm kind of doing them as what I would like to cover the most on the list at the point in time. Like, I realize this is really hard to see, but that's the whole list. Like, there is a lot on this list. And I realize that there is a lot that people want to see. I realize it, and I'm going to try to get to all of them as fast as possible. However, doing 2 videos a week and basically just kind of sort of picking... Sorry. I just died a little bit. I need some water. And basically, I'm trying to make everybody happy at once by doing just one Pokemon. So I'm sorry if the one that you want covered the most is not being reviewed this week or next week, but I'm trying to please as many people as possible, along with putting out content that I enjoy doing, because the second that I stop enjoying to do the content, you guys will stop enjoying to watch it, and then it just becomes monotonous for me to do this. So now that all that is out of the way, I really appreciate it that you guys are supporting this content so much and that you guys enjoy watching it so much, and I ask please for your continuous support. It's so amazing to just see that my videos are doing so well and that you guys enjoy them so much. But let's go ahead and talk about today's Pokemon. Today's Pokemon is a Pokemon that I personally have a very strong feeling for. I have for a very long time, and that is Mesprit. Now, a little bit of a backstory. Back whenever I first joined the PPL, I kind of wanted to give Shoddy a little bit of a hard time to try to, I don't know, make a little rivalry with him, and I guess it worked. And I basically told him that Mesprit sucked and that it's terrible. I hate the Pokemon. It's actually one of my all-time favorite Pokemon just because it's so good in draft format. Now, a lot of people might not understand why I say that it's so good in draft format. I personally think Mesprit is better than Mew. Now, that may come as a little bit of a shock to a lot of people. However, you have to look at the two side by side. One of them is base 100 all around in stats. The other one is 80 in HP, and then 105 in the rest of the stats, and then I think it's 80 in speed too. I'm pretty sure. They both have stupid large move pools. I mean, Fire Punch, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave, U-Turn, Stealth Rocks, Knockoff, all this insane coverage. The only difference in move pool, really, Mew gets Roost, Will-O-Wisp, and Defog. It also gets access to all the tutor moves like Tailwind and things like that, but that's not as meaningful whenever you look at the two side by side. But Mesprit gets one move that Mew does not, and that I think is extremely underrated in draft format, and that is Healing Wish. Now, Healing Wish is actually really important in League format because a lot of times you have one win condition, one massive thing that you know is going to do a lot of damage in the entire game. Like, for example, when I was facing Sly, I knew Reuniclus was doing a lot of damage, so I needed to make sure that thing stayed healthy. It has Regenerator, cool things like that. But if your win condition is something like an Infernape, and you switch into Rocks twice, took 3 Life Orb hits, and then you're already down to like 20%. You want this thing to stay healthy, and you have a Mesprit on your team, you can Healing Wish that back up. Otherwise, you have to rely on standard Wish support, which is much more difficult to use in draft format, in my own opinion. So, while, yes, Mew gets reliable recovery, it gets access to Defog, get rid of hazards, and it gets Will-O-Wisp, I think that burning things in League format is actually very useless in some circumstances, when I think that paralyzing something, that's what I was looking for, is actually much better than burning something. So I think Thunder Wave is actually, in a sense, more useful. So they both get Thunder Wave, so there you go. Stealth Rocks, they both get Stealth Rocks, they both get Knockoff for good utility, they both get Toxic, U-Turn to gain initiative. Now, whenever you look at the base 100 stats in general, they can be bulky all around, they can be offensive all around. Now, Mew, in a sense, has access to Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, it has access to things like Vacuum Wave for priority and all this other stuff. Mesprit does not have that. Yes, I realize this. However, Mesprit has 5 base points higher, so it does hit a little bit harder, so the instant setup isn't as necessary. It also is actually not much less bulky, even though it has base 80 in HP and 105 in defense. The standard Jolly Life Orb Weavile knockoff to Mew compared to Mesprit only does 4% more to Mesprit, which is not bad at all, especially whenever you consider that a lot of leagues now are taking into account tiers and pricing of certain Pokemon and things of that nature. So whenever you look at things that can almost be a better sneak and a better steal in a draft format with a budget or tier restrictions, I would easily pick a Mesprit over a Mew any day, because now you're not forced into making this bulky Psychic type just your bulky Psychic type. It can now be a choice Scarfer, it can now be a choice Bander, it can be a choice Spexer, I just said Spexer and a Bander. Hashtag banter. But Mesprit can do so many things without it being forced into a certain role. Since it doesn't have to be locked into a default role, you're now kind of sort of forced to get another defogger, which is almost what people think that they are going to do with Mew, but they never do, and they end up sticking Mew into a defensive role. Aside from Ellie. Ellie's been doing that fantastically in the PPLD too, so that's awesome, because she has a Crobat and a Mega Scizor. 2 amazing defoggers. Bam! Anyway, that was a massive tangent that I didn't need to go on. But Mesprit in general, I think, is a much better steal. I think it's better in general because it can hit a little bit harder. It's not quite as bulky, but you never really notice a difference if you have leftovers, if you have a berry, if you have all this other stuff, especially when you take into account Stealth Rock's damage. It's so unique. In general, though, Mesprit is the type of Pokemon that, again, unlike Mew, I think can fit on any team that does not already have a Psychic type. Because it's in a good speed tier, so you're not falling into the trap that I'm falling in the PPL right now, to where I have base 108, 102, 100, and then drop straight down to like 65. You're not in that because it's base at 80 speed. It's decent and forces things like Nidoking to speed creep you if you're max speed. It forces things like Darmanitan, if it wants to be Choice Scarf, to outspeed a Choice Scarf, it now has to run Jolly. Like, there's a lot of things that the speed tier can work with, so it's good for that little under base 100 speed tier, and I really like that. And overall, it can be really good as just anything. An offensive mon, a utility mon, a tanky mon, a initiative gainer, something to status things and make it easier for your team to clean up late game. Mesprit is a fantastic Pokemon. I don't think it needs a whole lot of team support. I think as long as you don't have a Psychic type already, it works pretty well. It's really good with its ability, Levitate. It doesn't have Synchronize, which I think is actually really good, because Synchronize is the type of ability that I think is kind of sort of useless, because in reality, things that are going to Will-O-Wisp you, they're either a Ghost type or a Fire type, a bulky Fire type like Heatran or something like that. Things that are going to Toxic you, they're bulky poison types like Amoonguss, Mega Venusaur, things of that nature. Things that could paralyze you, they're Thundurus, things of that nature. So Synchronize doesn't really help it out. So having a ground immunity is amazing. So it pairs very well with things like Heatran if you want to get a higher tier Fire Steel type. Things like Klefki is amazing for it, because while Klefki has Magnet Rise, this is an easier switching, forces Klefki to not run Magnet Rise. And it also really helps out with offensive ground types like Garchomp. It's now forced to run to not be choice, because if it's locked into EQ, this thing carries both Ice Beam and Ice Punch, so it can hit it very hard. I think that this mon just has a lot of overall general positive notes about it, and there's not that much of a drawback. Yes, a little bit lack of bulk compared to other some bulky Psychic types could be a little bit of a negative drawback. However, it's not like it's that noticeable, you know? If you want a bulky Psychic type, you're going to grab Cresselia, you're going to grab Gothitelle, you're going to grab Reuniclus. If you want a pivoty bulky, you're going to grab Mew, Jirachi, Celebi, or Mesprit, and I would take Jirachi and Mesprit over the other two any day. But basically, in short, this mon is probably one of the best lower tier pickups that anybody could pick. And that's not just me being like a fangirl of this mon, that's me being a realist. I was trying to say that's me being realistic and a realist, and it kind of just came out very stupidly. I apologize for that. But this mon, it's just so unique in every single way. There aren't that many bulky Psychic types that get access to Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave, U-Turn, Stealth Rocks, Knockoff, and all this other stuff. There's not that many. And the fact that Mesprit can do all that, it's normally cheap. It's absolutely, it's almost like it's too good to be true, and people don't realize it. But in draft format, this thing is absolutely amazing. And because of all of its positive points, I'm actually going to give this thing a B+. Now, I wanted to give this thing an A-. However, you have to take into account that it's low tier. It's not always going to perform the best, but it can if you use it correctly. But a B+ is absolutely fantastic for the fact that it's a steal, it's wide move pool, its overall bulk, its ability to Stealth Rock, Knockoff, U-Turn, access to Thunderwave, Healing Wish support is the #1 thing that made this thing come to a B+ ranking, for my opinion. Just because it can help out so much. It can take you from losing a game to instantly back in control and your opponent not knowing what to do. And that is what makes a Pokemon in Draft League, very useful, to be able to change the tides of a battle like that. And that is amazing. But there you have it. That is my overall view on Mesprit. Now, I realize Shotty's going to see this video. Realize that I was fucking with him way back then. He's probably going to comment, fuck you, and all this other stuff. But realistically, Mesprit is a fantastic Pokemon. If you are ever looking for a Psychic type that you want to use that's cheap and bulky and can do many different things, I urge you, don't waste your money on Cresselia, even though Cresselia is pretty freaking awesome. Don't waste your money on Reuniclus. If you can get walls in other spots, get Mesprit. But that's where I'm going to leave this video off for today. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below. Also make sure to leave a comment as to what you guys would like to see in upcoming videos. I'll make sure to add it to the list. And just remember, as long as the list keeps adding up, I will be getting them. I'll just be picking them out as I plan to go along. But just keep in mind that I'm only one person. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.